This Family Life News podcast is made possible by the support of listeners like you.
It's the Noon Report from Family Life, bringing a Christian worldview to what's happening in New York, Pennsylvania, across the country, and around the world. Weather with Kevin Williams, and faith-focused feature stories with the Family Life News team. Now, here's what's happening.
Wet weather on the way. Good afternoon. Welcome to the broadcast. Tomorrow and Wednesday look like a real soaker for some of us in New York and Pennsylvania. Up to 5 inches of rain possible in parts of western PA. That could trigger flash flooding. Kevin Williams has that work week forecast coming up. The Iran war threatening to spill into other parts of the world. Houthi rebels in Yemen have targeted Saudi oil exports in the Red Sea, and Ukraine attacked an Iranian ship in the Caspian Sea over the weekend. This comes as the U.S. halts strikes against Iran in order to give peace a chance. NBC's Richard Engel.
Diplomacy does appear to be making some headway, with Iran's foreign ministry saying that it is exchanging indirect messages with the Trump administration, and the U.S. military pausing its attacks to give diplomacy a chance.
UN Ambassador Mike Waltz says should diplomacy fail, however, the United States has more than enough firepower to finish the job in Iran.
The U.S. military has everything that it needs to conduct this campaign as effectively as it needs to be.
Arizona Senator Mark Kelly accusing the White House of not having a clear strategy in Iran.
Well, I think these guys are flailing, and this thing is completely stuck because this president got into this without a strategic goal.
Tomorrow, the president welcomes the Prime Minister of Israel to the White House to discuss more the war. Bibi Netanyahu speaking yesterday to Fox News.
I think it's a good thing to have the opportunity to sit with our good friend President Trump and to hear what he has in mind, because I think in many ways it's his decision.
While in Washington, Netanyahu will also attend the funeral of his longtime friend, the late senator from South Carolina, Lindsey Graham. 3 are dead, 4 wounded after a mass shooting near Seattle's iconic Space Needle. It happened during a popular food festival. The victims include a 2-year-old boy. Witnesses say they could not believe what they saw.
We just heard what at first sounded like firecrackers. When the crowd started moving quickly in herds, you knew something was happening.
People started running right away, running. It was stampede. There's bodies everywhere.
The shooting happened on the 3rd and final day of the Bite of Seattle Food Festival, which draws hundreds of thousands to the Emerald City every year. Seattle Mayor Katie Wilson.
My heart right now is with the victims and their families and with everyone in our community who is reeling from what happened here.
Retired FBI agent Jason Pack.
Going to these festivals these days, you have to kind of look over your shoulder a little bit, unfortunately. But we don't want to let the folks who prescribe to violence win. We want to be able to go out, live our lives, and do these things with our families.
Police say 2 gunmen were shooting at each other. One is in custody. The heat is on again today for tens of millions of Americans. NBC's Maggie Vespa.
From coast to coast, much of the country feeling scorched. 115 million Americans under heat alerts, and dozens of cities setting record highs over the weekend.
Go see a movie. Don't be out in it.
At Harry Reid International Airport in Las Vegas, where weekend highs hit 114 degrees, at least one airline asking passengers to give up their seats. The steaming hot air proving too thin for engines to take off with a full passenger load.
Real field conditions in St. Louis yesterday topped out at around 120 degrees. Hundreds of thousands in southern Europe have been chased from their homes by historic wildfires. The BBC's William Denselo is in the Bordeaux region of southwest France.
We could see just how quickly things move from what is just small little embers in just a matter of moments. Huge fires enveloping the pine trees all around this region. That just gives you a sense of how difficult these blazes are to contain.
The smoke-filled skies hovering over France and Spain come just days after smoke from Canadian wildfires caused unhealthy air for us to breathe in New York and Pennsylvania. Tom Clark is Consul General of Canada in New York.
Draw a line from Texas up to Minnesota, and that is the band of drought that we're experiencing in the boreal forest. temperatures, on average 10 degrees higher than normal.
Canada's boreal forest covers 55% of the country's landmass. President Trump holding a rally today at a GM plant in Battleground, Michigan. He'll focus his speech on fiscal matters.
We have the hottest country anywhere in the world.
The president's pit stop comes with just 99 days to go till the November midterms. House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries.
Democrats in both the House and the Senate understand the stakes that are in front of us, and that's making sure that we actually take back control of the Congress so we can end this MAGA extremism that has been unleashed on the American people.
President Trump ordering signs be placed outside a Smithsonian museum to warn of historical inaccuracies. The Interior Department is erecting the placards in front of the Museum of American History in our nation's capital. The Trump administration accuses that museum of having radical activist views. Former FDA Commissioner Scott Gottlieb says that cyclospora outbreak is not under control. The stomach bug linked to shredded lettuce has been traced to farms in central Mexico.
This particular parasite, the only known reservoir for it is human fecal matter, so probably sewage got onto those growing fields in central Mexico and contaminated those crops. Nobody's sure how yet.
Gottlieb says for those who are worried about contamination,
there are things that consumers can do. You can buy a whole head of lettuce and chop it up rather than buying bagged lettuce.
12,000 cyclospora cases have been reported in 41 states, including New York and Pennsylvania. Former COVID pandemic point man Dr. Anthony Fauci testifies this Wednesday before a Senate panel about the disease that killed more than 7 million worldwide. Newly released diary entries from Fauci reveal as those pandemic deaths mounted, he became fixated on his celebrity status. Fauci wrote it was not hyperbole to suggest at the time of the pandemic he was the most talked about person in America. Still to come on the Noon Report. Back to school shopping. The Hall calls 3 more, and Red Cross needs blood.
Good afternoon. I'm Kevin Williams, looking at a rare midsummer coastal storm over the next couple days that promises some pretty hefty rain. We'll have forecast details coming up shortly.
All right, Kevin, we'll see you in about 10 minutes. Let's check the stories making news across New York and Pennsylvania. A major criminal case headed back to federal court today in western New York. It's the Hadi Matar terrorism trial. Matar stabbed globally renowned author Salman Rushdie at the Chautauqua Institution back in 2022. He says he was acting on the orders of the supreme leader of Iran. Rushdie had been on Iran's hit list ever since the publication of his book, The Satanic Verses, nearly 40 years ago. The Hall calls 3 more to Cooperstown. A trio of former big leaguers were immortalized yesterday in central New York. Carlos Beltran, Andrew Jones, and Jeff Kent, all inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame. Kent told the crowd he was honored to be included on the list of the greatest to have ever played the game.
Baseball was here long before me. It's going to be long after I sit back down. But standing up here with these guys sitting behind me, I've never felt more humbled and more grateful in my entire life.
Carlos Beltran is one of just 5 players in MLB history with at least 400 home runs and 300 stolen bases. Andrew Jones won 10 Gold Gloves and slugged 434 career home runs, while Kent, a 20th round draft pick back in 1989, clubbed more home runs than any second baseman in MLB history. For just the second time in the 145-year history of the American Red Cross, blood supplies are at a crisis level now. That means there's just a 2-day supply. Red Cross spokeswoman Meg Rossman tells Spectrum News every 2 seconds, somebody in this country needs blood.
We're seeing a very steady and increased demand from hospitals because this is also trauma season. So what we're seeing is that the hospital demand is outpacing the number of folks coming through the door.
The Red Cross says just 1 unit of blood can help save the lives lives of 3 people. Plans are on hold to use an AI-powered humanoid robot at the Salamanca, New York School District. Salamanca was set to be the first in the country to employ an AI-powered robot in the classroom. School leaders say the district first needs to make sure student privacy is protected. Back in June, Toronto-based Realbotics announced it partnered with the district to introduce a robot in the classroom this fall in Salamanca, New York. New York lawmakers recently passed a first-in-the-nation data center moratorium that pauses for 1 year construction of these massive facilities. Justin Wilcox with Upstate United says a year is too long, however, and could shut out data centers from investing in New York's utility infrastructure.
Other states, even though they are generating plenty of electricity and they're continuing to add, they can't keep up with the amount of demand. So, what you see in those states happening is the hyperscalers are stepping in and saying, look, out of necessity, we're going to bring our own power.
A new poll by the Empire Center shows 43% of New Yorkers want data centers to provide their own power. 1/3 say they don't want data centers at all in New York. These facilities are needed to power artificial intelligence. Aquatic herbicides are being added to Cayuga Lake this week to combat an invasive species. The DEC says the effort to eradicate hydrilla should take about 10 weeks to complete. Signs are being posted along the lake where the herbicide is being applied. Summertime is the most dangerous time of the year for pedestrians. Experts blame smartphones for those car-person collisions and warn walkers and drivers alike need to pay attention to their surroundings.
When you have a cell phone, put it in your pocket, put it away. Do not use it when you're behind the wheel driving. Don't keep scrolling through social media while you're out taking a walk. Enjoy your surroundings. Focus on the road.
Adam Snyder with the Governor's Highway Traffic Association says 300 pedestrians across New York are killed every year in vehicle crashes. Measles cases continue to pop up in Pennsylvania amid a national outbreak that's not been seen in decades. 29 new cases have been reported in the Commonwealth in just the past week. The majority in Lancaster County, where a large percentage of the population is unvaccinated. This is the worst year for measles in these United States since 1991. Pennsylvania politicians are planning an historic return this fall to the birthplace of our government. Family Life's Brian Query.
The Pennsylvania House has approved a resolution to hold a special legislative session September 9th at Philadelphia's Congress Hall. The event will commemorate the 250th anniversary of both the United States and Pennsylvania's constitutional history. Lawmakers say the session will honor Pennsylvania's first constitution, adopted in 1776, which expanded voting rights for taxpaying freemen and established a Declaration of Rights years before the U.S. Bill of Rights. The ceremonial session is intended to highlight the Commonwealth's role in the nation's founding. Brian Query, Family Life News.
Thank you, Brian. New York Governor Kathy Hochul's offering free admission to the state fair for students at state colleges. SUNY students and incoming freshmen are invited to attend Student Youth Day on Thursday, August 27th in Syracuse. The 13-day fair runs from Wednesday, August 26th through Labor Day, September 7th. School's still more than a month away, but already moms and dads are doing some back-to-school shopping. According to the National Retail Federation, 62% of parents have started shopping for the new academic year. Charles Lindsay is an economics professor at the University of Buffalo.
Normally, consumers can find some last-minute back-to-school deals in August and even September. It's almost like holiday shopping or Christmas. A lot of the best deals are right after.
Lindsay says a record $43.3 billion will be spent on back-to-school shopping this summer. Training camp starts this week for the Buffalo Bills, and sorry to say, all the tickets to those events have been sold out. You snooze, you lose. There are 7 open practices to the public this summer at St. John Fisher University in Pittsford, New York, with the first happening this Wednesday morning. Already talking football, and in case you missed it, LeBron James is officially signed with the Philadelphia 76ers. The 2-year deal is worth $8 million. The 41-year-old James says he can help bring a championship back to the city of brotherly love. Philadelphia has not won an NBA title since 1983. Still to come on the Noon Report, some wet weather's on the way, another reason to get your Z's, and summer vacation travel tips.
Welcome to Breakpoint, a daily look at an ever-changing culture through the lens of unchanging truth. For the Colson Center, I'm John Stonestreet. In recent days, a handful of public figures and popular podcasters have made a claim that Islamic regimes have been historically, quote, very kind to Christians. Those who make this claim are either willfully ignorant or they're advancing an agenda, because the historical record on this fact is certainly not ambiguous. For example, the claim that relations between Islam and the Christian world were peaceful for 500 years until the First Crusade is just plain false. Muhammad died in 632. By 732, Islam had already taken the Holy Land in North Africa from the Christian Byzantine Empire. It had also conquered Spain and advanced into France a few hundred miles from Paris. After taking additional land in southern France and establishing bases in the Alps, Muslims then launched raids into Germany. They sacked the outskirts of Rome. They took control of Sicily. In 1071, they defeated the Byzantines and took control of most of modern Turkey. 24 years later, the Byzantine emperor asked the Pope for help. That's what led to the First Crusade. Christians in these conquered territories were treated as dhimmis, second-class citizens, who were required to pay the jizya, a special tax and sign of submission that was often accompanied by ritual humiliations. Failure to pay the tax could result in death or enslavement or the destruction of the local church building. No public displays of Christianity were allowed, including the ringing of church bells or even praying aloud in one's own home if it was within earshot of a Muslim. No new churches could be built. No old churches could be repaired without permission, and that was rarely given. Criticism of Islam and evangelizing Muslims was strictly forbidden. In court, a Christian's testimony was worth less than a Muslim's. Christians could not have authority over a Muslim or have a house taller than the house of a Muslim. They could not bear arms or ride a horse. At times, they were even forced to wear distinctive clothing. Another claim that's made is that Muslim rulers protected Christian holy sites and repaired them when they were damaged. Again, nothing could be farther from the truth. Typically, important Christian holy sites were converted to mosques to show the victory of Islam. The most prominent example, of course, is Hagia Sophia in Istanbul, the largest church in Christendom for over 1,000 years. When the city fell to the Turks, it and other churches were desecrated and converted into mosques. An exception was the Church of the Holy Sepulchre in Jerusalem, perhaps because it was such a major pilgrimage site and it generated so much revenue for the Caliph. However, in the year 1009, Caliph al-Hakim destroyed it. It lay in ruins for decades until his successor allowed the Byzantines to rebuild it, likely again to collect the pilgrimage revenues. 800 years later, the church was severely damaged by fire. Local Christians blame Muslims, but the official story is that it was caused by a candle or an oil lamp. The Ottomans did allow it to be repaired, but only using Christian funds that were donated from overseas. They did not pay for the repair. The same violence, of course, against Christians at the hands of Muslims continues today, with abductions, forced marriages, murders, arson of churches, and oppression of Christians in places like Pakistan and Egypt, and even increasingly in Europe. There's a prohibition against churches in Saudi Arabia and other Muslim countries, and of course the ongoing slaughter of Christians by Islamists in Nigeria, not to mention elsewhere in Africa. So no, Islam has not been kind to Christians, not even close. The only reason that many make this claim is to make the occasional anti-Christian acts by Israelis look worse than it is. But there's really no comparison here. Christians in Israel have many more rights and more freedoms than in any Muslim country, including in all of history. To claim otherwise is simply to ignore reality. For the Colson Center, I'm John Stonestreet with Breakpoint.
All right, John, let's take this show outside next. It's weather where you live with meteorologist Kevin Williams.
Here is your Family Life regional weather forecast for this afternoon. It'll be relatively warm and humid. Clouds, limited sunshine, couple of scattered showers and thunderstorms around. High temperatures into the 80s. Showers and thunder increasing tonight. Low temperatures in the 60s. And tomorrow and Wednesday, it will be cloudy. Rain will fall much of the time. A pretty good soaking for many areas. There'll be some better thunderstorms as well. High temperatures tomorrow, 70s to near 80. High temperatures Wednesday, cool upper 60s to the middle 70s.
All right, Kevin, thank you. This is the Noon Report on Family Life. I'm your host, Bob Price. Lots to get to Monday, the 27th of July. There's been a mass shooting near Seattle's iconic Space Needle. Happened during a popular food festival. 3 dead, 4 wounded. Cops say 2 gunmen were shooting at each other. One's in custody. ABC's Jeff Pogula.
This happened during the Bite of Seattle Food Festival. Gunfire erupted shortly after 6 p.m., causing the crowd to scatter. Witnesses describe a chaotic scene.
We went inside the first building because we saw a few people going to a building. So we went in there and we went down the stairs and we just hid in the garage.
A nearby hospital has admitted 4 victims, including a toddler. 1 patient is in critical condition. Jeff Pogula, Seattle.
President Trump taking his economic message on the road to Battleground, Michigan today, speaking at a GM plant outside Detroit. Fox's Jared Halpern.
President Trump visits General Motors' Milford Proving Ground near Detroit today, a massive vehicle testing facility. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt says the president's remarks will be focused on the economy. President Trump has argued his tariff policy is bringing back manufacturing jobs and investments, including from major automakers. But voters are so far unsold heading into the midterm elections, with a majority telling pollsters they disapprove of the president's handling of the economy. Early voting is underway in Michigan, and the state's primary election for Senate and governor's races is next Tuesday.
The midterm elections just 99 days from today. President Trump meets tomorrow at the White House with Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu to discuss more the war in Iran. Right now, the commander-in-chief has called off the attacks to give diplomacy a chance. UN Ambassador Mike Waltz.
What the president is doing right now, as we've seen all along, is giving some talks, some space. The president has all options on the table, and he is exercising both diplomatic, economic, and military to achieve a very clear strategic aim.
Democrats on Capitol Hill, meantime, continue to call out the White House for the way it's waging the war. House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries.
It was Donald Trump, I believe, who said that he was elected not to start wars, endless wars in the Middle East, but to stop them, and then turned around and has gotten us involved in this reckless war of choice in Iran that has skyrocketed gas prices on the American people.
With the 25th anniversary of 9/11 approaching, several families of 9/11 victims have started a petition to have the mayor of New York, Zohran Mamdani, banned from the official 9/11 ceremony. Organizers accuse Mamdani of supporting groups who've been critical of this country and being sympathetic toward radical views. Parts of the U.S. are back in the summer sauna today.
Humidity added to the heat will bring those feels-like temperatures up to 110 in Omaha, 112 out towards Des Moines, and then that's all going to fuel the possibility of severe weather threat.
That's meteorologist Leslie Lopez. 100 million Americans under extreme heat alerts today. Heat-fueled wildfires have chased hundreds of thousands from their homes in France and Spain. Reporter Marcus Moore is in the Bordeaux region of southwest France.
Authorities going door to door telling residents to get out.
It escalated pretty quickly.
Americans Brendan and Tammy Hutchinson, who live there year round.
You could see the wind shift and it really got thick smoke, and it was real, a lot of ash falling out of the sky.
Thousands ordered to get out and telling tourists to stay away.
Spain today declared its first ever national emergency due to the wildfires. The first Kenyan to ever play in the NFL has been deported by ICE. He's 37-year-old Daniel Ogama Adagno and was removed from this country last month. ICE says he overstayed his visa 10 years ago, which is the year his NFL career ended. This guy had been arrested multiple times by Indiana police the past 9 years. Adongo was signed by the Indianapolis Colts in 2013. You and I are purchasing fewer groceries these days. Correspondent Wayne Cabot.
A recent study by the consulting firm Bain & Company and market research company Nielsen Q finds shoppers are putting fewer items in their carts because of a 33% jump in grocery prices since 2019, the sharpest increase in 50 years. It's called the rocket and feathers effect. Prices rocket rocket up, but fall slowly.
13 children fell ill recently after consuming candy laced with hallucinogenic mushrooms at a YMCA summer camp. It happened last week at a camp for kids ages 10 to 13 in East Orange, New Jersey. The child who passed out the candy says he got it from a family member as a birthday present. Skipping sleep may be why you're packing on pounds. A new Columbia University study finds adults with insomnia tend to gain about a pound a week on average and also tend to have slightly larger waistlines. Sleep expert Dr. Rebecca Robbins says good sleep hygiene is essential to your overall well-being.
The bedroom environment is, of course, the foundation of a good night's sleep. The best bedroom for sleep is quiet, dark, and cool.
Robbins says if you're not getting 7 to 9 hours of sleep a night, you're not getting enough sleep. In Cooperstown, New York yesterday, the Hall called 3 more, Carlos Beltran, Andrew Jones, and Jeff Kent, all inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame. Beltran and Jones are only the 3rd and 4th center fielders enshrined in Cooperstown in the past 50 years. Kent's the first second baseman to join the Hall in over a decade. You're listening to The Noon Report for a Monday on Family Life. Hi, I'm Bob Price, and this is a Family Life News special report. With summer family vacation season in full swing, Focus on the Family's Dina Thayer is talking about how to take some of the stress out of that road trip. Here's more of our conversation. Vacation can be anything but fun and relaxing when you have little ones in tow. What are some tried and true tricks for traveling with kids we should be thinking about as we get ready for that summer vacation?
Yes, there are some things to think about. And I've recently learned July is actually the top month for travel. So this is super applicable. So you've also got August stretching out before you, and it's good to think about these things. One of the things I think is tried and true is first thinking about the way you're getting somewhere, and are you planned for that? So, for example, if you've got a long car ride or maybe a flight, making sure those kiddos are fed and entertained. And the other thing with the entertainment is I suggest bringing something new, maybe that they haven't seen before. You can even go to a dollar store, a Five Below, something like that. Get some fun little things for them to do during that long car ride or flight.
What are some of the primary mistakes that parents make when preparing to travel with children?
There's a couple. I think first it is a little bit of those rose-colored glasses. Oh, we're going to have this great family bonding time in the car, and it's going to be wonderful, and they're not going to get bored because they're going to love the license plate game for 7 hours. Some of it is just these unrealistic expectations. So that's a mistake. I would say prepare to hear I'm bored or are we there yet within maybe the first hour. And that's why that planning ahead with things to do is so important. The second mistake that parents make is not always thinking about once you're there as well. Maybe the drive goes great, but have you also thought about once you're there? Have you planned your days well in between all of the things on your itinerary? Because the other thing I think that parents stumble on is they plan the type of trip that is so go, 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 and especially with littles, then they just crash, and you end up coming home and feeling like you need a vacation from your vacation.
Wow, that's so true. You know, it's okay to be bored once in a while.
Yes.
In fact, I kind of like that vacation where give me a book and give me a beach and I'm all set. You know, I don't need anything else. But you're right. We think we had to be on the go all the time. But what can parents do, Dina, leading up to that trip to try to increase the chances as best as they can for a smooth experience for everyone?
Yes. Okay. Let me just mention 3 things real quickly. One is pay attention to your time zones. If you know you're going somewhere that's in a different time zone, see if you can start scooting those bedtimes a little bit in advance so it's less of a shock to the system and you don't have super groggy kids who are now not enjoying the museum or the amusement park or whatever you had planned. Number 2, I would say please be aware of the age and developmental frame of your children. So a 4-year-old is not going to engage with Museum of the Bible the same way that your teen will. And a teen might think the Science Center is a drag. And third, and this is adjacent to this, get some input. If your kids are old enough, let them them have a say. Maybe if you've got kids of varying ages, maybe each one gets to pick one thing you do in the location you've chosen to go on vacation. So you know at least everyone has one activity they're super pumped about, and that will help them be gracious while they're maybe doing something for their sibling that isn't their favorite.
Yeah, you mentioned sometimes we're so busy on vacation. When we get back, we got to take a vacation from our vacation. When you get back and that kind of re-entering the normal everyday humdrum of life, what are some strategies families can employ to help their children with that? That no, life is not just a summer vacation all the time.
Yes, absolutely. So a couple important things. I think being aware again of the margin that you create, if you can, especially if maybe the adults in the family are headed back to work on Monday, maybe get back on Saturday so that you have Sunday to just decompress, unpack, let the kids get back on a normal sleep schedule. I think sometimes we want to go right to the edge with our vacation and travel, and then it really leaves us depleted as we head back into normal routines.
Yeah.
So if you can, give yourself a buffer. And then another thing that's worth mentioning is there are okay times to employ what I call survival mode. And when you're just back from a trip, if that's a day where you do stay in your jammies because you're just doing the mountains of laundry from vacation, or, hey, we are going to just do DoorDash tonight. We're not going to cook. Let's be gentle with ourselves as we come back to regular life before we just dive in.
Yeah.
And I also think communication is key, especially with kids. Hey, I want to let you know today is survival mode day and we're just laying around like slugs, but tomorrow we're going to get back to doing our household chores, or, hey, school starts on Thursday, or whatever it might be. Make sure you're kind to your children to give them the communication and the heads up of what's coming so they don't feel that rug got pulled out from under them after the trip.
That's marriage and parenting expert Dina Thayer on how to take some of the stress out of family vacation this summer. I'm Bob Price, and this is the Noon Report on Family Life. And you can listen to all our summertime special features online anytime. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or our website, familylife.org. And finally at noon for a Monday, while a lot of you paid to watch the hit summer blockbuster, The Odyssey, over the weekend, some got to see it for free on social media. It wasn't designed that way, however, that's for sure. The movie made its big screen debut a week ago Friday.
Promise me you will come back. What if I can't?
A bootlegged copy of The Odyssey was posted on X on Saturday and viewed by millions. The leaked film caused a firestorm of controversy. That X account has since been suspended. The film had 2 million views within the first 2.5 hours. And that's our world, the world we live in. Monday, July 27th. I'm Bob Price, Family Life News.
You've been listening to the Noon Report, heard weekdays on Family Life. Thank you for listening.
Thank you for listening to this Family Life News podcast. If you've been encouraged by what you've heard, please share it with others and click the subscribe button to automatically receive future episodes. Family Life is a listener-supported ministry. Podcasts like this are made possible by your financial partnership. Find out more at familylife.org.